Let us move on page number 128, 129 and 130. So far we have been discussed about friction in solids. Between two solid surface there exists a frictional force. Today we are going to learn friction in liquid and friction in gases. Comparing to solid, this liquid and gases exert less friction. Now you are going to swim in the water. What you do? You have to flap with your help of both the hands and legs. If you don't do flap, what happen? You cannot move forward because there is a friction which is exerted by water. In order to overcome the friction which is exerted by the water, you have to apply some force. You have to flap your wings so that you can move forward. You can overcome the friction of water. Here is an activity 5 which shows that friction exerted by water, that is liquid. Rub your both hands together. Now put your hands under the tap and let water fall on them. Try rubbing them now. In which case it is easier to rub? Definitely it is in water. When we rub hand, when the water is falling on your hand, on your fingers, what happens? It is easier to rub together comparing to dry hands. This shows that friction exerted by liquid is lesser than friction exerted by solids. Here is another activity which is 6 to show that liquids also exert friction. Here the materials required are, now you are going to make two equal sized balls with the help of clay. Which type of clay? Plasticine clay. Fill one jar with water and keep another jar empty. Drop each plasticine ball in each jar. What will happen? Which ball reaches the base of the container? Definitely it is the empty jar in which air is present. See here, from this what do you understand? Because liquid exerts more friction, that is what it takes time to reach, whereas air exerts less pressure. And so that ball reaches first. Both the balls are made up of same material, that is plasticine material, which of clay. But what happened? Who reaches at the base? First, both the balls reaches the bottom of the container, but the ball which is put in empty jar, which is put in air jar, that means jar containing air, it reaches the bottom first. Because air exerts less friction, very less friction, that's what easily it falls to the base. Whereas in water container, water exerts more friction than air. So because of this friction, you know that friction stops a moving object, but it does not stop, it slows down the process. So here ball reaches the base of the container very slowly. You might have observed that the water animal, that is aquatic animal like fish, and a ship, boats which are narrowed in front, that means which are spindle in shape, both the corners are tapered, and broader in the middle. What is the reason behind this? Because it has to move forward, fish has to swim forward, boat has to move forward. But front water, the water which is in front of them, it is a liquid which exerts friction, which does not allow the particles to move forward. So in order to overcome this friction, their bodies are narrowed in front or their bodies are spindle in shape. We can also state that their bodies are streamlined shape. So why these fish are having streamlined shape? In order to reduce the friction, in order to minimize the amount of friction, their bodies are made such a way. While swimming, a swimmer tries to streamline their body in order to reduce the friction which is exerted by water. Friction in water is much lesser than the solid surfaces. That is the reason it becomes difficult to apply brakes in ships or boats. To stop the moving boat, the boatman moves his oars in the reverse direction. To stop or slow down big ships, their engines are fired in the opposite direction. If a vehicle is moving on the solid surface, it can be stopped by applying brake. But friction exerted by water or liquid is less. So we cannot apply brake in order to stop the ship or boat. Let's move on to the topic friction due to air. You know that friction exists to play in solid, liquid as well as air. When aeroplane moves in the air, it also exerts friction by the air. That is the reason front portion of the aeroplane is tapered. Tapered means it is a narrow shape. We can say it is spindle shaped in order to overcome the friction. We might have observed that space vehicles and also birds, their bodies are narrowed in the front. Why? This is due to overcome the friction exerted by the air. Here is an activity to study the friction due to air. Here material liquids are a flat of sheet paper and a sheet of paper crumbled into a ball. Now what you are going to do is you are going to drop both the papers. One paper is flat paper, the other paper is ball paper. From the same height you are going to drop. Who will reach first to the ground? It is definitely a crumbled ball because it has less surface area, whereas sheet of paper has large surface area. So this large sheet experiences the large friction by air because of large surface area. Meteoroids are the heavenly body which is a rocky solid substance which is present outer space. In outer space it is present. When it reaches the earth, due to high speed, the friction increases. Due to this high friction, the temperature rises, the temperature of the meteors rises and it catches fire and begins to glow. Thus, heat generated due to the friction of air is so large that they usually get evaporated before reaching the surface of the earth. If these meteoroids are very large size, then it could reach the earth's surface. These are known as meteorites.